Okay, so in the last video, we talked about how the body holds memory, how our protective patterns form, and how we can begin meeting those patterns with compassion instead of like critiquing it, right? Now we're going to shift gears a little bit and zoom in on another like massive player in this process, the big, beautiful brain. I love the big, beautiful brain. Your brain is brilliant. It's brilliant. It's miraculous. I'll get all hyped up about talking about parts of the body. Watch out. But the brain, it's fast, it's protective, it's super resourceful. And your brain is actually not designed for happiness or fulfillment or personal growth. It's designed for one thing. What's that thing? Survival. I hope you've caught on by now. We will move beyond survival, but understanding that these systems are set up for that and that alone, again, demystifies some of the things that we run into or we discover in this work, okay? So the brain's not only patterned just for survival, but it's patterned for survival using the least amount of energy possible. That's it. That's its job. Did you know that I think it's like a third of our caloric intake that all the calories we eat in a day, a third of it just goes to our brain. Not to our muscles, just to the brain, right? So it is always looking for a way to do this to conserve energy, okay? To help us out, to keep us alive, keep us moving, but to conserve energy. So when you're trying to change something, like a habit or a pattern, a way of thinking, right? Excuse me, your brain is not going to be immediately on board. Nope. Not because it doesn't care, not because it's not on our side, but because it sees every change as a risk and a really expensive one, energetically speaking, right? A new behavior or new pattern or a choice equals unknown outcomes, unpredictability. It has yet to map this, so it doesn't know if it's actually safe at the end, right? And then when you're talking about talking about neuroplasticity, right? Building more neural pathways, that requires a lot of energy, okay? So your brain is not a fan of any of that. It doesn't like unpredictability, and it doesn't like using any more energy than it already does. Because from a survival lens, the unknown can get you hurt. Or even rejected or left out of the group, right? We talked at the beginning about, if you think about group dynamics, how much we'll mold our behavior in order to just be accepted by the group. Because not that long ago, evolutionarily speaking, we had to stay in our tribe, because if we got kicked out, we were literally out in the cold by ourselves, right? We needed those people, that group. So the brain is mapped to stay with what it knows, right? So even if part of you wants to change, like deeply wants to change, your brain is still running some old software before that says this is how we know how to survive. Why are we going to change this? Why are we going to rock the boat? We know this works, even if it kind of doesn't in our life. That pathway works because it's already established. It doesn't require extra energy, and it already knows the outcome. It's fully mapped, and that's kind of all the brain cares about, all right? So this is why you might find yourself resisting even positive changes, right? That we could logically call positive, like rest or boundaries or speaking up, right? Or slowing down. Oh, I used to resist slowing down so hard. That's because your brain is trained to associate what's familiar, what it knows, with what's safe, even if that's exhausting. Isn't that a trip? Even if you're exhausted, the brain's still like, no, I still know this, so we're just going to keep doing this one. It's so lovely and awful at the same time, I guess is the best way to describe it. So again, first, we appreciate it. We take a moment to thank your big, beautiful brain for how hard it works to keep you alive. All of the ways that it's adapted and managed and controlled and planned and predicted and protected you. We wouldn't be here without it. Yay. Thank you. Thank you, big bad brain, big beautiful bad brain. But also, we don't just want to let it just run the show without our conscious awareness to it, right? We want to be able to get curious about what those patterns are and what's actually going on our behalf without conscious thought. We want to get resourced. We want to be able to create that space so we can gently loosen the grip around that pattern just firing before we have an awareness that it is, right? However, the brain is not bad. It's just really efficient. It's amazing. But it doesn't always recognize that we don't have to be in survival mode, okay? That's where body-based work comes in, because in these exercises, you're actually giving your brain evidence that things are different now. You're actually showing it that when you slow your breath, when you pause and orient to your space and just feeling your feet on the ground, right? You're not just calming the body. You're giving the brain the new data point. You're telling it, oh, we're actually not in danger now. And that matters. Because the more safety your brain perceives in the present moment, the more flexible it becomes, the more open it is to do something new. And like we just talked about in the last video, that like million rep mindset where all these reps have been built over and over and over. Again, I keep saying it over and over again because I want it to really land for you. We build this gently, one rep at a time, one moment at a time, one exercise or tool at a time. Because your brain's not like trying to sabotage you. It's just doing its job. It wants to conserve energy, stick with the known, and avoid risk. But we're allowed to grow anyway. We're allowed to stretch our edges. We are allowed to try something new and to move towards something different or some greater possibility, even when it feels really unfamiliar, okay? So the next time your mind starts spinning, like trying to control or predict or worry or panic about what can go wrong, oh, I'm so good at that. See if you can pause and just say, oh, thank you, brain. I see what you're doing. I appreciate your effort. I always tell it I appreciate it. But I'm okay right now, right? And that moment of acknowledgement, that's a pattern interrupter. That's the little wedge in its pattern that wants to travel. And that's the invitation for that previous pattern to soften a little bit, all right? Because you are not your thoughts. I know it can feel that way for sure sometimes. You're not your fears that you feel. You are not your big bad brain's beautiful worst case scenario generator. Mine's so good at that. You're actually the one who can witness all of that and still choose a new direction. You have agency in all of these automatic processes once you're aware of them, once you've practiced that listening to the body. Every time we do it, we gently retrain the brilliance of the brain, right? So yay, big, beautiful brain. Okay, next up, we're going to explore how we can start looking at our patterns, even the ones we are not super fond of, without pathologizing them. And I hope you'll be able to kind of gain some understanding for, again, how that contributes to opening the door for some real change. I'll meet you there.